Okay, so this is going to basically be part two of the other Animate weapon video that I did. We're just going to be going over the POB and discussing the actual character that I played in Heist League, and look at some numbers and discuss the things that you should probably be doing for a league start. It's actually easier if I just use the layout on POE.ninja to discuss my character. The most important thing about the build is obviously the staff. This is basically a build enabling unique, in my opinion. It's just something, just a rare that you can craft. But the trigger a socketed spell when you use a skill is like the main focus of how I played the character. I just used an Essence of Fear. I think like 1 in every like 12 tries that you get it, you'll probably hit like +1 to socketed gems. Obviously, like for a league start, keeping that in mind, like it's not going to be multi-modded, so as long as you have an open suffix when you hit it, just go ahead and throw that craft on there as soon as you can unlock it. And like I said, the core, like at the last video, I have Animate weapon here in the first gem socket. It's linked to Impale, minion damage, brutality, melee fizz, and splash as the 6 link that I swap out for multi-strike only when I'm doing like the hardest like bosses in the game that have like giga health. So Cyrus, Shaper, Uber Elder. Uber Elder, you don't really need splash in there if you are going to also be using zombies and skeletons. So the body armor that I used on this character was a Perfidy. Again, at a league start, you won't have a 6-link Perfidy, but you can get a 6-link Astral Plate. The reason why I use Perfidy is because of what it says. Like it allows you to use 2 banners at the same time. And instead of using the 6-link to support just 1 skill, I have Ray Zombie linked in here with Summon Skeleton. So it's basically acting like 2 5-links. And that's with Impale, Multi-Strike. I use Signal Prey, and then I have Divergent Maim. So they are the big debuffers for the Animate weapons that deal the majority of the single target damage. Now, Signal Prey, if you try to use this in your staff, like let's say league start, you don't have melee fizz or something, you just happen to land like 2 blue and 2 red instead, don't freak out. You could put Signal Prey in here, but let's say at day 2 or 3 you're still stuck on a tabula and you're trying to get rid of it. If you take Signal Prey out of here, you cannot use the Signal Prey skill if it's only linked in here. I don't know if they fixed it come Ritual League, but in Heist League, that's how it worked for me. Like if you have the trigger a socketed spell thing on the weapon, Signal Prey won't work. Like you can't even use it. It's disabled. And I use Phase Run as my instant skill. That's what I use. You'll see throughout the video. The movement skill that I personally use was just Smoke Mine. I'm used to using it. You can use Flame Dash, but Smoke Mine, I just enjoy like being able to run around a lot faster. The enchant's not that important. Like it's really not. I'll go over the enchants really quick. So for the helmet, like I think Dread Banner is going to be the most important enchant that you'll want. It doesn't have to be on a Moth Mischief. We'll go over that. If you can read the list, this is just like a breakdown of like what's the most important shit you're looking for. But like War Banner is probably another good enchant. Any of the Animate weapon enchants are good, especially because they nerf duration a little bit. It shouldn't be an issue. It should still be at maximum like 17, 8. I think it can support up to 18 now if you do the duration and divide it by 4. And then I know it's weird, but like Desecrate would actually be a decent-ish enchant. The Animate weapon enchants are usually pretty cheap. No one's really playing this shit, so everything's like dirt cheap. So for the boots, let's like I was saying, like Generosity, linked to Dread Banner and War Banner. It actually does get buffed by the Generosity support for whatever reason. War Banner does, even though it's something that affects monsters. Pride does not, so it doesn't even matter if Pride's linked to Generosity or not. But I just did it because I was like testing out things. I didn't want to keep like breaking my links and doing all that shit over and over again. Like I said in the last video, like build felt a little bit different. I want to say bad. There's like certain breakpoints with minion movement speed, but all my jewelry has minion movement speed on it. This one I made myself. I just used an Essence of Fear on it, deafening, and hit T1 life, crafted aspect of a spider on there. So that's the last like quote unquote aura that I'm using. Obviously, you could do aspect of the avian if you wanted to. This one also had an open prefix. Yeah. So I crafted the negative total mana costs on both my rings, and like pretty much almost all the skills cost like no mana except for the skeletons. They're like, I don't know, 20 mana. I have no clue, but it just made it mana not an issue for the character. Boots, like just life and resist for everything. For here, at the higher end, you can get a hunter belt. It should be a little bit easier to fix and make these come harvest. Harvest League returning. This is a good slot to fill out your dexterity. You can also get up to 60 dex from your Stitching Vice if you craft that with the essence of... I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, but you can actually craft 50 dex on a belt, fix all your dexterity issues. You don't have to worry about that shit on your ring. You don't have to worry about it in your amulet or anywhere else. You get 50 dex on your belt, and then you put some oils on that shit, and yeah, it'll bump it all the way up to 60. Flask setup is pretty important. Quicksilver flask, of course, right? Because we have to move around using a staff, and we have like 0 attack speed scaling for ourselves. We have to run around fast. Basalt flask, because I don't like dying. This one has shock, because I think that was the last thing that I was actually immune to. I was using a Garbuth Ephemeral, which is definitely not a league start option, so don't even worry about that. You're probably going to want to put freeze removal on here, and then curse removal on here, one or the other. The life flash, you're probably not going to have a Blood of the Kerubi like day 1, but I think this is the best flash you can use for recovery, just in case you run into those oh shit moments, like you're going to for sure like certainly get topped off. Who doesn't like getting topped off, right? So the last flask, of course, is a Rumi's Concoction. You're not going to have a perfect rolled one league start, but the Rumi's Concoction is pretty important for the build because you get a lot of block chance. Like I've been asked, like, why don't I take Glancing Blows? It's because like we're going to have over 60-70% block, and that is much more defense. It's like way more survivability than taking Glancing Blows just to like get max, quote unquote, max block on paper, because you're gonna get hit a lot. Cluster Jewels, I only have 1 large and 2 mediums. I was just stacking Rotten Claws and Renewal. Later on, I got this one that had Vicious Bite on it. And like my mediums, they have Life from Death on both of them, and Renewal. And jumping over to POB now, Renewal is like, man, I know a lot. I've seen a lot more posts over the last like few months, but ever since Delirium League, like this is so strong. I noticed that right away in Delirium League, because it stacks with the amount of minions that you have. So just with the way Animate Weapon functions with the build, you can see in the last video, when you're just rolling around mapping, every 4 seconds it's triggering the Animate Weapon skill and summoning just weapons that are on the ground. So this is just proccing like all the time. So the whole recently thing means that you're pretty much just going to get that extra 2% regen, and obviously like I have 2 of those notable, so I'm getting 4% life regen, and also the minions are recovering 4% of their life every 4 seconds, which is basically 1%. But that's not how it really works. So the minions recover 4% of their life on death. The reason why I use skeletons is because you summon 3 of them at a time. I think I have a maximum of 9, but anytime you go over the cap of summons that you have, so if I have 9, I summon 3 more, it'll actually make all your minions recover 12% if you just have that one notable. And of course, it'll be times 2, so they'll recover 24% of their life. So like if I'm doing Cyrus and my minions derp out to go into a cloud or something, I don't freak out or have to wait. I just go and spam a bunch of skellies for like five like few seconds, and they're all like right back to maximum health. So it's not a lie to sit there and say that my minions are almost always on full life, because besides like Cyrus or like things that have huge damage over time effects or stuff like that, they pretty much will always be on full life for the vast majority of the time, like way over 90%, 95, maybe 98%, 99% of the time that you're mapping. It's just those few mods that you got to look out for, and those few encounters, like to keep in mind that those are something that might take them away down from full life. So not too much bullshit stat padding in here. Like I said in the last video, like the numbers can go like way higher when I knock these power charges down to 2. I use 4 specters. I don't know if I went over the gloves, but I have my Ray Spectre socketed into this glove. It's level 21. Doesn't matter if it has quality or not. Blood magic, and then feeding frenzy support. I have 4 specters. I have 3 frenzy ones. 3 specters that give you frenzies. They are the Carnage Chieftains, and 1 specter that gives them power charges. I don't remember what the hell it's called, but it's in Ashen Fields and I believe Act 7 or something like that. And then Animate Guardian is socketed in here. Obviously for a league start, well, I shouldn't keep saying obviously because it's not obvious for everybody, but for league start you should not be using Animate Guardian. It's going to die until you actually have like those cluster jewels that I just discussed. I would not use an Animate Guardian, no matter how much survivability you spec into on the passive tree. Like they're probably going to die if you're not using Bone Offering, and you're not going to be putting expensive gear on them anyway. So maybe it is okay to go ahead and throw some crap gear on them, but it's just taking up a gem socket that's going to make gearing up harder. So like Carrion Golem could go in here, which I have in my ring, and that means you don't have to worry about getting an unset ring as fast as possible. So going back over to the POB, this is my character that I imported already. It has the nerf numbers from the changes that they made in for Ritual League. So this is like 1.3 million damage with a Fortify Staff. This is the item that I tried to make. In case you didn't notice, like the staff that I had, it had a empty prefix because I was trying to make a staff that actually had level 1 Fortify on a couple of other bases in my stash, like throughout the league, and I spent hundreds of vaults trying to do it and failed. But you can get Fortify on the Elder Staff as a prefix, and you can get Power Charge on Crit as a prefix on a Shaper base. Both of those are good, and they both are basically exactly 20% more damage. It's not what I had. So like the character that I have now is like 1.1, about a million. So I have 16. I have 17. But until you get a +1 amulet and stuff, like you're going to be around like 16 weapons. But you're looking at like a million-ish DPS like per weapon, like according to POB. And that's plus whatever damage your zombies are doing, which is POB is saying this, plus whatever damage your skeletons are doing, which POB will say that. But I always take these minion damage numbers with a grain of salt, because like in Harvest League, I had a character, like a Redemption Century character, that had zombies and skeletons, and it was supposed to do like 100 million damage, and it's not like, if that was the case, like you should be deleting Cyrus in like basically like a second and a half, like not even, right? But that doesn't happen due to minion AI, and just like, well, that is even worse for this because it's pure fizz, and like Pride has like damage scaling, stuff that I talked about in the last video. Life pool, you see the life pool here, how much life I have on the tree. The life regen, I don't know if that's calculated properly. You can see the evade chance, have no evasion, and it's even better the fact that like you don't invest it into evasion at all, but once you get the chance to blind suffix on one Ghastly Abyss jewel, like their accuracy is cut in half. You have a okay-ish amount of armor. This is all just a guide talking about how I played the character. Please keep in mind, like, have fun and please tinker and improve the defenses if you can. The armor that I had is not great. I did spec into, the second time I played Animate Weapon, I spec'd into Anointed Flesh for the max res, so I went from 75 to 76, and it was noticeable. The other thing is it makes you Ignite immune, which I don't really die to Ignite, but it can make you Ignite immune. I need to clarify that. It can make you Ignite immune if you take, I believe it is Soul of, who's a fire dude? Aberath, right? Yeah. So you have if you take Soul of Aberath, you're at 100% reduce Ignite duration. I mean, most life builds are still taking Rasafa, just for the flash charge regen, but it's looking like this league coming up, there are going to be other mods that give you life flash regen, and I would take that instead. So that's really cool. I take all the staff block nodes here to these staff block notables. Pathing to them gives you quite a bit of attack block. And as I mentioned before, you can get block on your chest. So in a second, we're going to go over like league start, I guess, like now that I've covered the character that I actually played. And also, like, this is trying to like keep the numbers like honest-ish, right? According to POB, like there's like maximum effect stuff I could do here. I could calculate things for, that I got from the Animate Weapon. There's something else that I'm missing as well that would get like blows the numbers up quite a bit, but like calling strike and shit like that, like that's not entirely accurate. Like I said, like the way it felt was about like this. We did get a pretty juicy nerf, though. I will say that. So, just looking at the league start version, I believe I swapped around, bone offering instead of flesh offering. Like on softcore, like where everybody's mainly playing. Most of the damage is going to be coming from like temporary buffs while you're going through the Atlas, so your single target damage should still be like 400k, like that times 15 or 16. Like obviously, like league starting, this is a level 90 tree. No cluster jewels, and again, like I said, the skill tree looks like very common summoner build that's like pathing to the Scion Life Wheel and like taking like block nodes and shit like that. A lot of people are pathing this way. So a lot of the league start tips and tricks that you get from other people should apply here. Because like I said, I don't actually league start using the Animate Weapon skill, but it doesn't matter because the same tree will apply to any minion build that you're doing during league start. Once you actually do get to endgame and you start getting into the 70s and 80s, this is the tree that I'm going for once I reach level 90. And the way I'm going to improve the survivability of my minions without the cluster jewels is by anointing Decay Ward and using Bone Offering if I think it's going to be a sticky encounter. So this gives them 2% of their life recover when they block, and the extra 10% block chance for spells and attacks, and it works pretty freaking well. This annoying is like dirt cheap sepia verdant teal oils. Like it's just so cheap to get. Doesn't even like compare to like Death Attunement. Like getting the silver oil like the first weekend of the league can be difficult at times, or doing a Ravenous Horde with the opalescent oils. It's pretty hard. Grave Pack can be annoying sometimes. It takes a while for people to get it, but like you can get these oils into acts. So this is going to be something that you do day 1, day 2 of a league. But the damage, the health, the defense, like these are the numbers that you're looking at here. I'm actually going to post the POB for this one and for the character that I had. Even though you could just go on POB.ninja and import it. An astral play, like you're looking at around like 6k life. If you get lucky, right, and you get a Calm's Heart to drop or something, and or let's just say you don't want to play with the zombies because they're dying while you're leveling, then drop them, put Skelly somewhere else, I would suggest, and putting them like maybe in a helmet or whatever, sacrificing some gems, you just wear a Calm's Heart, and you'll have like 7.5k health and like, a couple of million DPS, boss DPS, like day 1 or 2, first weekend of the league. Should feel fine. So hopefully this was kind of informative. This is all I got for now. Eventually I'll write a guide, but like this is already taking up a lot of time as it is. I don't know when I'm going to have more time to actually update the forum posts, but during my off time, I'm going to actually want to play the league start itself. But when I do get around to it, hopefully by the end of next week or something like that, it'll be written with all my thoughts and stuff, actually like league starting with it for once compared to last league. And hopefully you found this helpful, and you'll find that helpful if you happen to be wanting to play the build at some date in the future. But no matter when you watch it, I hope you are having a good day, and that's all for now.